and welcome back to the Clickercast. We are here covering episode 4 of HBO's The Last of Us Season 2, of course. I am once again joined by Ballistic Gaming and Shotgun McPain, and we are once again riddled with tech issues. So things look a little different again, and things look a little grainy again, but you know what? We're doing the best we can. So,
we got this.
Without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into it. So this episode opens up with a 2018 flashback to this giant Fedra truck with Isaac and a very weird cameo from Josh Peck.
Yes, extremely.
Extremely weird. He looked very goofy in that scene, to say the least. Threw me off a whole lot.
I mean, we also have another, role reprisal with Isaac.
We do.
We did in season 1.
Yes,
which
this
is phenomenal.
The voice actor, which is huge.
I didn't realize that at first because it definitely threw me off that the game version of him looks very different.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is just such a talent in the industry at this point.
Yeah.
Like, so many great roles, but I think we're gonna talk about I think he does such a great job in this role and really embodies the role. I like that we're going to see more of him too.
And I think it's very good. Like kind of the same thing with oh my god, I'm blanking on her name from season 1. Maureen. Yes.
Maria.
No, season 1, right? Marlene. Sorry.
Marlene. Okay, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like,
it's almost the same character aspect of the role reprisal. Not a major character, but somebody everybody knows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're doing the same kind of thing this time around, and I think it's a very, very well-rounded choice because Isaac is cruel.
Yeah.
And he played that role with the voice acting and mocap phenomenally.
Yeah,
so
doing a great job. Absolutely.
Very impressed. I'm very surprised with that role reprisal. Like, kept that one under wraps.
Yeah.
Pretty tightly.
Yeah, I heard nothing about that actually. Now that you say it,
I think there was I don't think it was in the marketing, but definitely the casting. I remember them saying.
Yeah, but people have to kind of pay attention to the casting. Right. I know I didn't. I'm like, I know who's playing Ellie, Abby, Joel.
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah.
Not fucking Isaac. I didn't know about Isaac. I didn't look at that.
Okay, so we are in the back of this truck, and our little beloved character Josh Peck is just making an absolute mockery of some of these people. Bit
of an ass.
A bit of an ass, calling them things, like Jizz Boy and just like a bunch of names, really embodying the connotation of the use voters.
Yeah, and that was kind of like striking to me because
why is that?
That's not what they were in the game. It's something they added. It's a very small little detail that they added. But I'm liking how that kind of leads into this little backstory that we get with Isaac, which we didn't have in the game.
Yeah, I love the backstory.
It's phenomenal. It's very quick backstory, but it's to the point.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
There's also the rookie trope, right? Where it's the one guy who's like, "What does this all mean?" And it's just like
very nervous, like, "Oh my god, like, is this actually how it's gonna be?"
I like that they also have that. And it's interesting where we see that develop too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about how this rookie gets pulled out of the van right before Isaac throws 2 grenades into it and locks the door. That was maybe one of the craziest scenes ever.
Well, my biggest question before that point, who is that Isaac's talking to? Is that the prophet?
No, I believe they talked about it being someone from the WLF.
Well, I thought the WLF was technically founded by Isaac.
I think it's the beginning of the WLF. I don't know if necessarily it's because they indicate that it is somebody willing to join a resistance, Whether or not that is like a
Okay.
splintering, that could be like a splintering off. The Prophet being a part of the WLF at some point would be an interesting take. But I'm pretty sure they kind of like hinted at like a co-founder of the Resistance or
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't
That
catch that.
makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's talking to this lady, and then blows up the van, which was badass.
It was very much like an
Everybody
initiation.
in there is dead.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Nobody came out of that.
It's amazing that they didn't.
Yeah.
Especially with how they did the brutality later on in the episode. It's amazing that they didn't show any real brutality, like even with the gun.
Yeah.
Like that him shooting the federal member that falls out of the truck. They don't show it, So
yeah, but the brutality and graphic nature comes not far after.
That's
that.
what I mean, is that it's interesting that they did
Yeah.
that later on rather than to the Fedra soldiers. Like this kind of seems like an initiation, like a gang initiation, but it's part of the resistance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely an interesting intro sequence, to say the least.
Mhm.
No pun intended, came out with a bang.
Yeah, it did.
Two of them, perhaps.
It's
but...
also that's our first flashback of the season. Like we had multiple flashbacks in season 1, right? Is this
the first one?
Like this is the first, at least
Yeah,
opening
I think
flashback.
it is.
I guess is what I mean.
Oh yeah, because the Scars one was in the present technically.
Yep.
I guess you could technically say the Abby stuff is like flashback, but I think that's much more of a happening parallel where they are in the
I would agree.
in the journey.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the flashback where she's burying her dad?
Yes, like
that's
the
episode flashback because that was 5 years prior to them getting to Jackson.
But no. Because if you remember, episode 1 opens with like okay, just right after okay.
Yes.
From the end of 1. So, and then they also show that, I think they show that before the 5 years later. So I think that's like all
if it was parallel with them going to Jackson, because from them getting to Jackson from when they show it is 5 years later.
Yes, but I think this is before the 5 years later. This is like they start. If you remember, they start episode 1, with just after the moment where Ellie asks about the fireflies. And not to say that I've obviously like probably a little bit of the time difference, but I think that's before like the big time jump. Because then we have it where Ellie's fighting.
So you're not considering that a flashback? You're just considering that.
I consider that
that's
just
like
parallel.
A continuation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it would be a
flashback
in the game, I think.
Okay.
But in the show, I think it's a parallel.
Yeah.
Or at least as parallel as you can get. Like obviously time wise, like they probably just didn't bury them like right at their same time. But I think it's like interesting that this is the first thing they really choose to flashback on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
I'm not mad about it though.
No, especially because since it was so
great.
prominent. Excuse me, in the first season.
Yeah.
Where we had the beginning of the first episode of the first season, where it's them talking about cordyceps even before, the event happening, and then there's a couple other ones.
They did a lot of flashbacks in.
Yeah, so it's interesting that they choose to do this, especially since we're covering a lot more ground throughout these next few seasons.
We're not covering as much ground as I thought we would have because we're coming up close to the end of the season.
Yep.
Right.
I'm way off in my prediction already.
That's okay.
Way off.
That's all right. That means we just get more seasons, I guess. So
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Best case, right? So, moving on. We have this big intro sequence. And then the intro credits play, and we are met with Ellie and Dina in this grocery store, where Dina is like kind of foraging around, asking about yeast infections, all that good stuff.
It was great. This is a great little conversation.
It was a great conversation. You ever had a wicked yeast infection? Yeah.
A little moist.
Yeah, that was good. And then, what we all know is Dina finds pregnancy tests. And
who would have guessed that?
Who would have guessed, you know?
Who would have thunk?
Interesting way to do that too.
Yeah.
Honestly, because
yeah,
it alerts the audience too.
Yeah,
and it makes more sense in context. Yeah, it makes more sense in context, especially with what they're changing in this.
Yeah.
Where it's like directly said, like, hey, yeah, it was 3 months in between you recovering and Jesse and I did get back together, you know?
Yeah.
I
So kind of like the way that they're doing that now that I have more of the full story.
Yeah, makes total sense if you think about it.
To me, with the whole pregnancy test thing, it's just a weird little thing that my brain does is, how does she know about pregnancy tests? Because would you,
they still went to
wouldn't
school.
think that'd be something.
Yeah, I still like.
You think they would have covered all that?
Think about the fact that we have a whole medical center. We have a whole medical center in Jackson, right? There's obviously some sort of like, I think actually, if not anything, that would be a higher priority to learn in something like Jackson. And then you also don't have
in a world like this. You better know about contraceptives and all that stuff because you are taking a big risk.
Right.
Getting pregnant in this world.
I'm kind of stupid. It's okay.
But yeah, like I think like that actually would be even more important to learn because obviously like you don't want to get pregnant in a zombie apocalypse.
Yep.
Okay.
So and again with I think it's important in the way of like think about what you would it does make me think about what you would learn. You wouldn't necessarily learn about the history of wherever you're at. You wouldn't be learning math necessarily. You're learning about how to survive. So you're learning about what happens when somebody has an attack of some sort, like a cardiac arrest or something.
Right. Okay.
What happens when to treat a bullet wound? Like you're learning. You think about that school. Like it's a very different aspect.
Yeah.
And if they get bit, shoot them in the head.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. Exactly. So we go through this whole little scene, and then it is revealed that we are absolutely following Ellie day one. We had a nice little subtitle card that was directly from the game.
The episode scene with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. The episode is called Day One too.
Yes, it certainly is.
Yes.
Yes. But you can see in that corner.
In that corner?
Yep, I had to find it. Camera's backwards, it's flipped. Yep, okay.
Okay, fair enough.
But I have it on the screen. It's there. Promise, I'm not crazy.
Well.
Okay. Never mind. Whatever. Whatever. And you're here with me, so tough. So we see that little
just to YouTube.
Cut scene, I suppose, of the day one transition.
Yeah.
And we stumble across this lovely little wall covered in pride flags and rainbows. And they say something along the lines of, well, they were optimistic. Which I thought was very funny. Considering
you gotta remember because it was 2003 is when the outbreak happened. So you gotta also remember that they went it 10 years before.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they say in the game, Ballistic? Because I think they do come across the pride flag.
They do, but it's very quick, and it's only between them two while you're walking or riding.
Right. Do you happen to remember what they say?
I don't.
I feel like
I'll go back and I'll look and I'll answer it next episode. I promise, guys. But right now, fucking nothing.
Yeah.
That's okay. We had a nice little moment with them. And shortly after that, they stumble across the infamous TV station. where
My
surely
heart dropped. I'm just saying when I
nothing
saw
battle ever
that.
happened. Nothing battle ever happened there, right? Of course.
Correct.
So they
And
make this
nothing.
very strategic plan to go in the night without Shimmer because they'll be harder to spot on foot in the dark. Which, great plan. You know?
Yeah.
Good plan. So they kind of wander around Seattle a little bit, and the scene that we have all been waiting for
Yes.
finally happens with the two of them in the music store.
My heart. Achy breaky heart.
Yeah. Yes.
Dude,
And it is a beautiful scene.
It hit so hard, especially with, I think, like the way they shot it, especially like the closer ups of Dina,
Yes.
like and the imagine my film brain is like, imagine how many takes they had to do, and she's just like crying there. Like,
well, honestly, like in all honesty, with the way that scene went and just the way it looked, you could
like
see Isabella's, the actress who plays Dina.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost like that's her legitimate reaction, listening to Bella play this song to her.
Yeah.
Because
I don't blame her.
I go back and I watch and I listen to the podcast, which is an amazing podcast. I recommend you go listening to the Last of Us official podcast. Amazing. But and they bring that up. It's like you're watching her fall in love with Ellie right there.
It's that moment, right? Like it is
moment, because you don't get to technically see that moment in the game. They kind of rush to it.
Well, it's an option. It's
it's optional. You don't even have to see it.
Optional. Yeah, exactly.
You could never see it.
Yep.
You know,
which that is a wild thought to think. It's like that is one of like arguably the most iconic scenes of the game.
In the game, yes, but Dina's already in love with Ellie there.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't need that to get that, but you watch that scene.
I like it being the emotional core of like it just the glass, the water tipping over the glass, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been hints like Dina's like, oh well, maybe, but I'm not gay, and I'm like,
and
I like Jesse.
100%.
I like Jesse, you know, like, and I'm pregnant with Jesse's kid too, like, and especially because she knows at that point.
And we'll be bringing up some corniness that did happen in this fucking episode. I'm just throwing that. Oh my god.
That was my little corn.
That was good. You know what? Yeah. I get it. I got you. The band, music. Yeah.
Music.
From the music store.
And speaking of music, Take On Me performed very well by Bella Ramsey.
Standing ovation. Like, that's a hard song. That's a very hard song.
Especially a hard song to hit that same way, especially because it's so iconic, right?
Well, she hit it just like Ashley Johnson, and it was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Very soft, quiet.
Yes.
Wasn't trying to match the original song.
No.
More on their take of that song.
Well, you can tell she was nervous to be vulnerable. And I think that is a great way to display vulnerability.
That's been opening up 100%. Yeah, because now you're there playing this song to somebody that you don't necessarily know won't like it.
Yep.
Well, I think it's also they're playing the song. They're playing the song regardless. You know, it's not necessarily to capture Dina's heart necessarily, although I'm sure it is a little bit, but it's like, oh, a guitar. And I think it's like initially there to remind Ellie of her love for Joel. You know, like that, like we know and we've learned that you know, like she learned guitar from Joel. So I think like that's initially there, and that is her her window. The amazing that is her window into Dina too. And to finally spark that love, that true love, and the crush to start there, you know, like the actual crush, you know.
And I'm just gonna say this now. My prediction of when the thing would start did start due to drama, just way different drama
The thing?
What are you talking about?
that we were getting in like episode 2 with Dina and Ellie.
Oh, right, that thing, the big thing.
The big thing.
Yeah,
My
okay.
prediction. Right circumstance, way different. Way different time.
Yeah. Sex,
I thought-
Shotty. Sex.
Oh, yo, you're talking about future. You're not talking about now.
No.
The little,
It was like, wait, but with the
Yeah, the thing. Sex.
Gummies
Yes,
scene?
they had
Yeah,
hot lesbian
Yeah.
sex.
yeah,
Glad we're on the
Yeah.
same page.
yeah. I was like, what? When did they pick up a guitar before? You know, like
lesbian
they were
hanky
right.
panky.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was like,
Jesus
later on.
Christ.
Yeah.
This is what these podcasts turn into. It really is.
Yes. Let's turn it away from that because after we see
Yes.
this lovely, incredible scene, Shimmer gets left behind in the music store.
At least Sherman doesn't die.
Yeah, not yet. Anyways, you never know what could happen. I'd be happy if it didn't. I'd be stoked if it didn't happen.
I guess you could say that Shimmer was the last of us left behind.
Yep.
Can I mute him?
And we are met with this incredible scene that all I wrote down was Isaac's cooking segment.
Oh my god.
Oh, and what a monologue, too.
Yes.
Like-
yes.
Like starts off. I was watching this with my partner.
Did you really think he was talking about cookware?
No. But I was watching this with my partner. I'm like, Last of Us cross the bear. And it's just really funny to like see like, yes, this cookware. I really wanted this.
Yep. The copper.
This pan.
Yep.
You know, the
Well, I
copper.
think-
Yeah.
Really, and then like, grabbing
Heats
the
up
copper,
really
I'm like,
nice.
oh, this is a psychopath. Like this is just
Yeah.
you know, like-
Yes.
Very good way to show
Absolutely.
how calm
yeah.
and dead he is to what he is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a extremely good representation to I am going to get what I want. I can give two flying fucks about you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What you feel isn't anything to me because, again, how we talked about the civilians and how they dehumanized them by calling them voters.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now you see this scene with Seraphite. He completely fucking dehumanized that. You could tell, man,
Yes.
clearly, like as day,
Mm-hmm.
just out there,
Nuts out, man. Hell yeah.
nuts out, fucking dick out. I guess is how we're playing that scene.
Yep.
But he's bloody. He's on the floor, and we'll get into a little bit more of that Seraphite too, because it was a very good scene. Very,
Oh, it was a great scene. Yeah,
a
absolutely.
very powerful,
Well, I think,
and just like the two extreme sides, because there was a example of a non-extreme side of the Seraphites that we saw.
Yeah, I think the thing
Now we're
that,
seeing the extreme side of it.
I think the thing that is also establishes is how far you go, how far you go to be your own hero, right? Like
Mhm.
in Isaac's mind, he is following justice. He is following, no matter what
At this point in time, what is he actually following though? Like,
he's protecting.
would
He's
you consider it
protecting. It's
justice?
a war, right? It's a war,
It's
right?
a war, but it's
he's-
not justice.
he's but to him, it is.
Mm,
Would you also say that what Joel did was justice? Like killing all these people at what cost?
it wasn't
So, like-
justice to me. That's not justice though.
Yes, but I'm
Like,
saying
I don't even think to them it's justice because it's a war mentality almost.
yeah.
It's
But I think like that's what are you doing in a war, right? Like you're trying to win the war.
Trying to win.
You are the hero of your own journey. And it also
but
talks
some
about
people are very, very accepting of being the villain, which I think we see a little bit in Isaac.
I just know I think that like this story especially, and they talk about it a little bit,
Mhm.
is everyone's a hero of their own story, right? and I think like that's going to come in, especially where we leave off the episode.
Yeah.
I think that's going to come in. You know, like the Seraphites are fighting the war for their faith. Right?
They're a little bit more fucked up than you thought too.
Right, but again, in their mind.
No. I'm just saying, like, to anybody who hasn't played the game.
Oh yeah,
you saw the nice Seraphites.
Yeah.
No, we'll get to that.
Kind of see that.
Let's finish this scene though.
In this episode. Yeah.
But you also see that, I think, in the WLF too. I mean, in the pursuit of justice, in the pursuit of what they believe is right for them, what they believe needs to be it's power incarnate. You know, if I had control of this, things would be better. See, and so it's like, what do you go? It talks about the consequences of those actions too.
Yeah. See, I had the same question as I was also playing the game. What were the WLF and the Seraphites fighting about to begin with? Why did there have to be a truce? They are two completely different cultures. Completely different cultures that relied on completely different aspects.
Why does anyone fight, right? Like,
but normally they fight for something they want.
Yeah,
whether it be oil, whether it be whatever.
I think it's ideology, so and I think it's land. I think
it's the extremists, or were the WLF more the extremists? Like,
I think they're all the extremists. I think in a war, you have both extreme sides, you know, and you can make an argument. I think you can make an argument that it's just like, again, it's I think it's the exploration of that fact that what are you willing to sacrifice, including your morals, right? And in order to win, basically. And some people will just fight to fight, right? Like to fight to make a statement, or fight to. Some people are fighting the altruistic idea of like, hey, like, I want, you guys are oppressing us, like Fedra, you know, like that's the big thing, is like with Fedra, it's like you're fighting that because of the oppressive force, right?
And especially with the tyrannical government aspect.
Yeah, well, especially like with the imperialistic force that is the WLF is very reminiscent of Fedra, right? Maybe with different ideas,
yes,
you know, but it's militarized, and you're talking about you know, a force that is the
two sides of the same coin,
right? Well, and something that they talk about in Star Wars, right? That George Lucas has always said, and I won't, you know, go on this for this too long, but George Lucas has always said that the Empire is the imperialist machine. It's imperialism. It's this big empire. It's, you know, it's the British. It's America. Like, it is the imperialism incarnate and colonialism. And it's always the little guy who wins. It's always these are you know, with worse off weapons, with lesser numbers necessarily, with they always take down this big empire. So it's like also interesting to see that the Seraphites are these impressively able to kill force, right? Even though they just have their bows and arrows, they just have their hammers, you know, like whereas WLF is this militaristic force too.
And I think it's going with like almost the dehumanizing nature. They're not evolved. They don't have these things. But we'll find out, because there's also another important aspect I want to do at the end of like when we finish talking about the scene in the kitchen. But yeah, I'll get to that point later, actually.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, so let's talk about that. We have this whole scene with Isaac and the Seraphite, and the Seraphite is protecting everything they can, you know, and Isaac doesn't give a shit, because he takes that hot copper pan directly to the hand every time he doesn't get an answer that he likes.
Your hand up.
Yep.
Also the Seraphite also, it just doesn't fight it.
Just does it. Do it.
This is like you are gonna have to kill me. You are literally gonna have to kill me, because that is it is somebody who is so stricken in their
Yes.
belief system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it comes down to the the end fact where they end
And
up
he does
he
die. Yeah.
he gets killed, and it is like brutal for a second, like
Yep.
and Isaac is it, and in the end, the Seraphite wins. Like
Yeah.
what does he
Yes.
say, right? Like he says, people are coming from the WLF to us every
Yep.
day.
Mhm.
Nobody's doing the same.
Nope.
And in the end, it makes Isaac mad,
Yes.
and in his anger, kills the Seraphite.
Yes.
Could have used that for. He knows that he could have gone for hours and hours and hours on the torture, but never would have got anywhere because of the mentality that person has.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an interesting perspective, comparatively, how authoritarianism is the infection and stays in there, but it just doesn't have quite the hold that faith does, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see like the cultist aspect of both sides, right? Like the cultist aspect to, oh no, I know what I'm doing is right in the WLF because it's like, oh, we're more civilized, we are militarized, we are ready to take care of our own.
Yes.
Whereas Seraphites are not that far off from that, right? They are one with each other. They're all for the profit. They are they're not militarized, but they're a force together and always converting people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an interesting aspect to see, like these two forces go up to each other and what the limits are tested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and following that, we are shown two soldiers outside of the kitchen. One being the rookie that was taken out of the van, who was a scared little chicken shit.
I didn't realize that was the same person,
Yes.
until after.
Yep.
Guess what he looked like? Is Craven fucking Psycho.
Yes. Yeah.
They're fucking, what do you say? They're fucking animals.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And again, it goes down to
Got
the
what
fact
they deserved.
It's their form of justice, and it's like,
yep,
how you can go so far into that to where you dehumanize the other.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, well, how far is this justice going to go, and what are the results of this at the end of the day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what was the first thing he said? Was it just like fucking scars?
Yeah.
Like that was it. That was just.
Well, and
scars.
the Seraphite also
fucking
corrects and says like
Seraphites.
Yes.
Yep.
So
yeah, intense scene to say the least.
for sure.
Very powerful, like very, very, very powerful scene.
I would say the most powerful of the season so far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I would say that
besides what happens later, but like where we are right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything with Isaac has been incredible so far. I'm really enjoying the storyline there.
I like that they're building him up too. They're giving him more room to breathe.
Yes, yeah, that guy is a force to be reckoned with, and anyone who crosses his path is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
that's
100% danger.
That's just how it is, and I really like that. I think that's cool. But moving on. So we see that scene, and then we are back on track with Dina and Ellie. It is now nighttime. Yep. They are headed to the TV station, where they...
That was so much quicker than I did. I'm so mad.
Yeah. Trust me, it took me 3 years to finish the game. I know.
That's true.
I know. And they get in. And they are greeted with one hell of a scene.
Showing that them little people ain't so
yes.
innocent.
It is multiple bodies hanging from the ceiling with their intestines quite literally falling to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Where we see Dina get sick once again, which we know why, but you know.
Yep. This is it. That was the second time they added that though, which I thought was interesting that they added it again.
But I think it makes total sense.
It does.
It makes total sense. Absolutely.
Also, why that scene looks so good, we found out in...
Those are real people.
Real people actually hanging up there.
I was telling my
Unreal.
partner this. I love in the behind the scenes whenever they get to the the VFX people
Yes,
Oh,
oh
I
my
love
God.
it.
people. That's my favorite part. I could talk about the story, and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's always my favorite part
The
to see how
effects?
the sauce is made.
Yes.
And
So
the bloody
good.
sauce at this point.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
all
Oh, it's
them
all
talking
blood.
about-
There ain't no sauce. It's just blood.
Me and Artie are actually extremely lucky to technically know a VFX artist ourselves. So we see it in person and it's fucking
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
But yeah, we see that, and there's of course this lovely note painted in
Mhm.
blood on the wall, which I believe says "Feel her love."
Mm-hmm.
Feel her love with the symbol of the Seraphites.
Yes.
And Dina says just one line. It's all you need. What the fuck is wrong with Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
It's a great line.
Because in Jackson, it's just infected against them.
Yeah, you don't have anything like that.
Yep.
That's
Especially
it.
because it's a smaller
Everybody's
community,
together.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's against each other.
Yep.
I think it also says a lot about being blissfully ignorant to your world around you.
Oh, absolutely.
Like how many things
How
right now
excluded you
conflicts
actually
right
are
now.
in this world. Yeah.
Yeah, how many conflicts right now people are just like, well, that's not happening to me, like
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that. And it's just like there's real things gonna happen,
Because like it's an interesting little side note here. It's an interesting little world of not being able to travel. You're back to medieval times, which is why a lot of those people thought that Europe was so massive.
Mhm.
Because you're traveling on foot and horse everywhere. Instead of days or hours, now you're looking at weeks, months to travel.
Right.
Most of these people, with the exception apparently to the WLF, nobody has vehicles. Why would they? They cost, gas there, all that. So this like aspect that this now Seattle in this time is technically another country.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson is its own little country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's just them for miles and miles and miles and nothing around. It's just them.
Yeah.
I think it's just an interesting way to look at it.
I think it's also like in apocalyptic media, right? Why we explore other sets in a medium, we explore other sets of areas. Fallout is a great example where every Fallout takes place at a different place in the US. I mean, even the mod Fallout London takes place in London. Like, what does this area look like?
Yeah.
With no communication, with no outside forces of like, oh, you might know that like America exists, or you might know that Europe exists, but you can't quantify that,
Yeah.
So and the things that
it just makes it a lot bigger than what
it fills up the world. It fills up the world a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So, back to the TV station. We are greeted with these people, and then we have this extremely intense, quote unquote, stealth mission. Where the WLF comes in, they see the bodies hanging, and they are sweeping the place for any signs of life. And it becomes this huge stealth thing, and it's very intense, and it's like, are they gonna get caught? I have no idea.
Yep.
Which they don't to begin with. And they make it up the stairs, and Ellie is greeted with this guy, essentially. She goes in first, he comes in after, whatever. She's hiding behind the door. And, he turns around and she stabs him in the neck. Just then and there.
Our Ellie has grown up.
Yeah, she just killed a guy point blank.
Also, Dina,
And Dina
shoots somebody in the
also
head.
shoots someone in the head. Yes.
Yeah.
No remorse. You remember back in season 1,
Uh-huh.
Ellie killed that one kid.
And it fucked her
The
up.
look of fear and what the hell,
Yep.
struck over.
Yeah, it's not a moment you can necessarily sit in with gameplay, right? Like it is like in
Yeah.
those moments you are stabbing these people, like
Yep.
you are, but it's gameplay, right? Like you're just like,
Mhm.
all right, I gotta get past this. In this moment, you really have to sit with it and like, oh, there's no Joel here. Like you might have Dina, and also you're trying to protect
Mhm.
Dina. So like this is all you. If this goes sour, that's it. Like
Yep.
you are done. Not to say that is that wasn't the case with Joel, but the fact of like, oh no, you are in this alone almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's interesting to sit with that moment and really feel the tension,
Yes.
especially when that person's coming in the room, and you're just like, like a horror movie.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and in that scene, we kind of get brought back to the very first scene we see Ellie in the season doing her new little jujitsu, which makes more sense that she's able to overcome you with speed.
Yeah.
She's not big, she's not strong, but she's fast. She's agile.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Which amazing way to kind of bring that back over. That's how she's able to beat this grown ass dude who's twice her size.
Yes. Were any of y'all
gonna be fair?
Were any of y'all like survival pilled when you're just like, all right, so you're gonna loot him, you're gonna get the gun, and you're gonna jump out the window, so that now you have a machine gun, like do a little Die Hard.
No, but when she went up the stairs, it's like I hid behind that fucking pallet that's right there.
Yeah.
They put that in there. That was in the fucking game.
Yeah. That was a really good recreation of it, 100%.
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, get the fucking gun. Like, Die Hard this shit. Like,
take
now
it,
I have
dude.
a machine gun. Now I have a rocket launcher. Like, they're not gonna stop you if you have an arsenal,
Yes. Which would have been helpful when the entirety of the WLF was coming after her and Dina. To which they, shot out that window, and they made a fucking run for it. Which led us right into the subway station.
Oh, the red.
Which, what a scene. Holy cow.
Were there was spores in the game, right? Like in that area.
Those are coming next week. We have confirmation on that from Mason.
Confirmation. I'm interested to see how that's gonna what's that's gonna look like because no one up to this point has seen fucking spores.
Yeah.
Right.
So are spores just a way to hurt you, or do they infect? That's gonna be interesting how they're gonna bring that up.
Oh, we'll find out next week apparently.
Tomorrow.
That's just
everybody knows.
Whatever. Anyways, yes. So we have this incredible subway station scene.
Yes.
Where
all
they
practical
escape.
too. I mean, not all practical, but a lot of it practical.
Majority of it
because
is
that was an actual newspaper thing that they went in there with, and they brought actual train cars in.
Yeah.
Well, and up to the point of telling the stunt people or the extras to choreograph in a way that makes it seem like there's more numbers. I thought that was really a really cool attention to detail to be like, okay, here's what you do, knock on this, and if you do it in a certain way, you don't even what's so great about media is that you can kind of even if it's not the numbers you're thinking of, it's the weight. You feel the weight of there being an endless number of clickers and runners,
Absolutely.
You definitely feel that even if it's not necessarily true in the scene. That's what magic of cinema.
Just on the outside,
right?
Oh yeah,
you are way the fuck wrong right at the end there.
The little lead up, right, throughout the train where it's okay, they're banging on the windows and there's a clicker at the end, and the clicker finally got in, and then you see them start to break windows, and then by the third car they're all in, and it's just like John Wick,
Anyone else notice how Dina went into listen mode? She got the advanced suit.
Yeah.
She was upgrading.
She was counting.
You got all the manuals.
Yeah, so let's break this down in order in the scene.
Okay.
Where they obviously enter, and the WLF are right on their heels.
Yep.
Bringing all their flares. They're setting this whole thing up. And that's when we get Dina in her listening mode, where she has at least 5 counted. At least 5.
Well, yeah,
That's
because
a
in
Which is a great
the
underestimation. But
first episode, I think it was, she did that.
yeah, she did.
And it stopped at 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can almost guarantee that she's probably never done more than this.
Yeah.
But now she's here,
And
Yeah.
counted.
and then she
Yes.
just stops.
Uh-huh.
This is not a
Yes.
small faction.
Yes.
This is a horde.
Yes.
This is bad.
Yes. This is the second horde of the season, which, again, I'm not mad about. I will say.
Double that we got last season. So
Yes. Yeah.
infected are going to be a
Bigger.
little bit more of a thing here.
Yeah. So we see this horde run behind the gate and start attacking the WLF, which is Ellie and Dina's point to get the fuck out of there. Which is when we see them, head towards that train car that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And, they are breaking in, they're breaking out, windows are breaking, clickers are here, everything is everywhere, and it is chaos, and it's intense, and it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is a scary experience for our 2 leads in this scene. 100%.
The first time where I've even though I know how it ends up,
Yeah.
the first time where I've actually felt dread in a scene.
Yeah.
And it's also a scene that is played out in the game.
Yes.
Like I'm just like, oh no, like I feel so like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Even though I
Yeah.
know both of them are gonna make out of it.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
we found out how they incorporated Dina finding out. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So getting into that, they get out of the train via an exit on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just fucking booking it.
Mhm.
Which, rightfully so. I wouldn't want to be there either.
Yeah.
Fuck
I mean,
that
there'd be a
shit, dude.
brown trail behind me, but yeah.
Yes. So they were running up the escalator, and it was amazing to see them like going up there and then finding that rotating door. It's the gate, whatever it
rail.
is.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
carousel.
Yeah. Which of course is stuck. So they
Always
are.
is the fucking gates.
Yeah. So they are pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and Ellie gets through. And now it's Dina's turn, but she's not having as much success because it's, one person pushing versus 2.
Yep.
And there is a very close call where Dina could have gotten bit, and Ellie just wraps her arm right around her neck and pulls her through. Basically.
Yeah.
After getting bit, of course. But, that is something that
Maybe.
Dina absolutely catches on to. And
You think?
yeah. And
I think she
she
saw it.
has a very, very heavy weight on her shoulders now,
Oh my god, it's
not knowing
it's
what
insane.
we all know.
I think it's so good the fact that Ellie does that without even thinking.
Yes.
In a protective sort of sense.
Yes.
And the fact that she's just like, okay, we're good, like is not trying at all to explain herself.
Yep.
She forgets.
Because she doesn't even remember
in
that.
that
Like
moment.
who knows?
Yes.
Because she hasn't had to be in this experience
No.
with somebody who doesn't know.
But now
Yeah.
Ellie is in a completely different scenario
Right.
after that because they get through the carousel, like you said already. And again, like Shotty, you said, just say like, okay, we're fine.
Yeah.
She turns around with a tear-stricken
Yeah.
Dina.
Well, and with Dina at this point, right?
You know,
Like Dina
fights in line.
Dina just got to a point where she's
Yep.
like, "Oh, I might
I
love
love
this
her.
person.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I might love this person." And she's like, "Why would she do that? Why would
Yep.
she do that? She knows that it's like what's at stake. She knows
Yes.
that blah 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 blah. And now I'm gonna be alone. And there's I'm sure so many thoughts going through Dina's head of just like I'm gonna be alone.
Yes.
The love of my life is gonna die and turn to a zombie, and is just so grief stricken because she knows what has to happen. And then also on top of this, something that you do with crushes, or a lot of people do with crushes, is they imagine the life. They imagine the entirety, up until you get old. Like that's the crush curse, where you're just like, yep, this is exactly what's gonna happen.
Well, let's jump into that scene.
All of that just like rips out.
Yeah. Because we get very detailed on that in the next scene. After Ellie is cheerfully finding this theater as a safe place, and of course Dina is just confused and devastated and doesn't know what to do, as Ellie is barricading them in this place together.
Yeah.
Where there is a now potential threat. So we see, Ellie turn around, and Dina is just standing there, crying her eyes out, gun pointed at her head. And this scene plays out very similarly to season 1, when Joel and Tess find out that Ellie is infected, where she says, I'm gonna go sleep. You can stay up all night with a gun pointed to my head. If I so much as twitch, you can shoot me.
Yeah.
And,
well, also, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But now you also are seeing Ellie have to think so quickly.
Yes.
Of how not to get, because they even said, like, they alluded to it. I don't want to have to shoot you in the face. They alluded to it in the first episode of the season when they're going, into the market. Like, I don't want to shoot you in the face. And that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Now she's sitting there, and Ellie has to explain this very unbelievable thing to somebody who was grief-ridden.
Yes.
She has already said goodbye to Ellie in her head.
Yep.
Instantly.
Yep.
And you know that.
And not only grief-ridden, also think about the fact that she's having paternal instincts at this point. She is now going to be a mother. So she's like, I think she could have chosen and be like, all right, well, like, I gotta kill you, and I'll just make this like quiet. Now she's like, oh no, I have to kill you, because if I don't, you're gonna eat me and my baby.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
So I think like that's another thing to think about in the entirety of it, and why I think also us knowing about the kid earlier works better, because then you have this moment. And I think it's just it makes it so much more powerful. There's so many more dynamics to pull from.
Yeah, well, speaking of dynamic, let's get into that. So Ellie wakes up because water's dripping on her face, which of course freaks out Dina, because she's kind of like, oh, whatever, and it's kind of twitchy maneuvers, but but she puts out her hand and she's like, look, not shaking, I'm fine, I'm immune. And this is when Dina lets her guard down, and she's like, okay, I'm pregnant.
Well, kind of, though, because she's still
it's adrenaline.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Costly until she's able to see Ellie's face.
Yeah.
Because you gotta think, the light's there.
Yeah.
And you don't see it until she's like right there, 3 feet from Ellie.
Yeah.
It was such a, like, that whole sequence.
Yes.
Was just played out beautifully.
Well, let's continue playing it out. Yes.
Oh, well, we're gonna get to some playing. All right.
Yeah. If you would let me talk, mister.
All right, go on with the playing.
Yeah. So, of course, we see that Ellie is fine. Dina sees Ellie is fine. Something that we have known for years at this point. And that is when it's the I'm pregnant finally falls out of her mouth. Which leads to this very, 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 very passionate moment between the two of them. Where they are getting it on, to say the least. This is like the very first time that we've seen them like be intimate with one another.
Yeah.
And have those experiences with like, oh, I love her.
I'm giving she's getting all of me, technically.
It's Dina's way of truly saying, oh shit, I need to tell you this before. It's like when you have somebody who is like close to death, right?
Yes.
You're just like you're thinking about all the things that you should have said to them, or all the things that you're like, oh, I could have told them about this, part of myself. I could have told them about this part of myself. And it's Dina being like, oh, I don't want to fake it anymore. I truly love you, like, and that is go time, right?
Yep.
Like it is like I'm in love. So, and then also, I think it gives something for Ellie to be shocked at and be like, have the adrenaline, and then both the adrenalines meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
there was a lot of adrenaline there
yeah.
for sure. And let's just say Dina probably should have picked up that monostat,
yeah,
from the drugstore, because when was the last time Ellie washed her hands? I don't know, but probably gonna be raging yeast infection now.
Oh yeah, it's all the yeast.
Yeah, and then some probably, but that's whatever. The rain washed it away, I'm sure.
Tangents.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
Not
season
important.
on the yeast of us.
It grows. Whatever. It's yep.
All right.
So do cordyceps.
Also,
whatever.
For those who haven't played the game, that's not how that conversation happened.
No,
I think
there was a complete 180 of what actually happened in the game. It shocked the shit out of me.
Okay, so let's go in order once again, where they have sex, and they had sex. Yeah. And then
and they also continue to have sex.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, so part 3, they had sex.
They had sex, and they kept having sex. And Ellie was the first one to meet the baby, but whatever.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey. So.
I want to just say
yes.
for this moment.
Oh God.
It's I'm glad. This is one of the moments where I was actually like, oh, I regret my words and deeds, because I was very critical of how they are building up this relationship, because I think it's so powerful. Started off where it is, but I think especially realistically with them being in their late teens, like it is also a thing where it's just like, I think it's interesting that Dita's coming to grips with her sexuality, and I think it's interesting that they're playing it in more of a way of like, hey, I don't just love you from off the bat. I know I like you, but I don't just love you from off the bat. And holding that pent up love, much like you're holding pent up anger, right? And I think it flows in the themes of the game and the show. So like this is one of those changes I was like, oh, okay, like I see where they're going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that also really leads into like the next part after they, have sex and they're, waking up and whatever.
Coming to terms with what they told each other too.
Yeah.
What'd they do again?
They had sex.
Thank you. Okay.
Sex.
All right, we're on the same page.
They had hot lesbian sex. Is that clear enough?
Fucking.
They were fucking.
They're looking to fuck something.
They did fuck something, each other. Anyways, so we have this scene after the fact, where, Dina is being very honest and vulnerable with Ellie, about her experiences, like, with her mom, saying that, no, you have to like boys.
Yeah.
And now Ellie has this freedom, or not Ellie, Dina has this freedom with Ellie to like girls, because mom is no longer in the picture.
Yeah.
And this was like her first big experience with a girl.
Yeah.
And that is just one hell of a scene. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hell yeah, you be a lesbian girl. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And
you be bisexual.
In the entirety of it, right? Like, it's not just, oh, we're all accepting as much as we'd love it to be. It's not that, oh, we're all accepting,
There's a reality that
and
there's no
and there
acceptance.
is these echo chambers that you build for yourself in these small areas. It's just like, oh, you're right, I can't be that. Think about like the machine that is the bigotry machine, where it's just like already, even when we have all these availabilities to be out, be yourself, like
Yeah.
and kind of learn from yourself. Already in the world we live in now, how hard it is to be out,
Yeah.
to be, like especially from a parental figure, right? Like a parental figure being like, no, you can't be that. Like
Yep.
you're not that. It's
I didn't
silly,
raise you to be that
like
way. Uh-huh.
exactly.
Yep.
So I think it's like really interesting for this, especially it being a queer story,
Yes.
to focus on that. So I
It's
actually
very
really
important.
love that change.
Yeah.
I really love that change.
Incredible. So we have that conversation, and then pregnancy gets brought back up. And it's like, are you sure? Like, how do you know? Pregnancy test could be old. And she pulls out 4 pregnancy tests, all positive, of course.
It's like poker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 aces here.
Yeah. It's
I'm blottroing my pregnancy test.
I started playing that game last night.
Oh,
Fuck.
you're on Balatro. Oh god.
You need to be
Oh,
queer.
my
You
God.
have to have that baby Balatro. Babe Blatro. Babe Blatro. We'll
Yeah,
workshop it.
hey Balatro. My cat just fell off my lap. Are you okay?
Damn.
Are you okay,
Are
honey?
you okay, buddy? He just slipped off. He's because my blanket is. Yeah, he fell. Anyways, he's okay.
I just hit my toe.
He's okay.
Yeah, cat falling and toe squishing. Welcome to the podcast, motherfuckers.
Hell yeah, toe squishing. Let's go.
Oh, that fucking hurt right on my corner of
I
my
think that's
neck.
how you make toe wine.
Makes the how make a ballistic wine. That's for fucking sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay, so these are very charismatic characters. So when we get the reveal of the pregnancy test, Ellie's like, "I'm gonna be a dad,"
I,
and it is a very charming scene. It's very charming.
Yeah.
it was, but good God,
I'm gonna be a dad.
I think
that
it.
was
I think
the
also,
corniest fucking line of the
It's
entire
corny
It was
Yes.
great. I loved it.
but also think about who raised her, and
Yep.
who wanted nothing more than to be a dad throughout his entirety of his life.
Yeah, she also
You
had
know,
a
and-
pun
and-
book joke, or pun.
Yeah.
What, how the fuck? Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
You
But-
okay?
A pun joke book.
yeah.
Whatever.
This is
Moving on.
Junior.
Not important.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a pun joke book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got there.
So like that is 100% in her character.
Oh, absolutely.
But also like adds the little bit of depth, I think, to
Yeah.
that relationship that it wasn't necessarily not that it wasn't in the game.
Yeah,
But like, oh, this is not only, us 2, this is us 3. I am now
Yes.
traveling with my family.
yeah,
And now you have the very, very
Interesting
similar
commitment.
you have this very similar dynamic to what she had with Joel.
Yeah.
Where now she's becoming Joel, and
Mhm.
now that it starts earlier that she knows, I think it will provide more to the dynamic of being like, okay, like this is my first, like real relationship, my first like, oh, we're gonna have a kid, like what the dynamics in your head that go, and you're just like having to provide,
Yeah.
and again, now she will also have the paternal instinct,
yeah,
and what will she do, and what will she go to, for this revenge? It gives her more stakes to be like, again, I'm leaving everything behind much earlier
yeah,
than the Tommy conversation that we get in the game.
yeah.
It's definitely they're bringing in very interesting aspects.
Mm-hmm. I like the
didn't see
timeline
them
of
going
things
like
now.
this at all.
Well, speaking of a new aspect, this will take us into like our final scene of the episode, where there's a suggestion that Dina stay behind because she is now with child, and
Yeah, and Ellie's not pissed about it.
no, she does not call Dina a burden, which is
Mhm.
great character development. Good for her,
Yeah.
She grew up, and how
Yeah.
many years it's been? 5.
Yeah. And Dina's like, no, I want to go with you. Like, we're doing this together.
Where you
Like,
go,
this
she
is
just
okay.
says-
I go.
Together. I
Yes.
think I was telling my partner that I'm like, that carries the same weight to me as okay.
As okay. Yep.
yeah,
yeah.
like it's just
Just that
together.
one liner.
because
Yeah,
they're just
together.
about to go on the journey, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like they now know the reality and the weight, and they're like, nope, still together.
Now,
yes.
The smoke that you're seeing.
Okay, I didn't get there yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Oh my god.
That was me. That was the jump. The gun.
Yeah, you did jump the gun, man. Didn't let me finish my sentence. Jeez. So, we have this scene of them discussing who's gonna go, and this is pretty much a result of seeing big clouds of smoke just over the horizon. It's, pretty close. And, that's when it's like, no, we go together. This is us, our thing. I came with you for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of where we're left at that point. Like, we see this big thing happening, and that's all we get.
Yeah, that's where it ends.
Yeah.
Before Ballistic gets into the smoke thing, I just wanted to say I think this is a great way of not only going through the episode, right, and having everything that happens in the episode be so dire, but also reaffirming this is an impossible mission. And what is this for, too? Like, what are we doing this for? So again, I think that the together moment, I think, reaffirms that, where it's just like, I'm going with you to the ends of the earth,
Yeah, absolutely.
What's literally, again, an impossible mission.
Yep.
But it's not exactly Frodo and Sam, like, it's not exactly for an altruistic reason either. So I think it'll provide more weight for that revenge story.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, well, so when we leave the theater originally in the game, we're heading towards that same smoke. But we learn later on in the game, you initially find out that's Jesse. What's almost very clear that the shit we're seeing out beyond is grenade fire, whatever else, more than one person fighting against something.
Yeah.
Are, like, in your guys' like thoughts, do you think we're seeing Jesse, or is it Tommy, or I think it's either of them? Like, or is it none of them?
I think it's 70% just Jesse, 30% Jesse and Tommy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm interested to see like how they're bringing this out.
Yeah.
Because in this same kind of sequence, although Ellie leaves on her own in the game, now they're going to be together.
Yeah.
So I'm done guessing what's going to happen in this fucking series.
Yeah,
because you're wrong.
Well, they're totally
every time. I'm done guessing. I'm actually very thrilled about it, because we could call certain parts of the show by kind of what we see as we're watching the show. Just for especially us that's played the game a shitload, and you kind of get the little hints and run throughs.
Right.
They're doing not that.
Right.
Really, they're only doing
like
that with
it's
like
not
some
predictable.
scenes.
I'm loving that.
Yeah, it's making me enjoy like, oh my god, what's going to happen this episode?
Yeah, it feels good to watch.
Like the first season was very predictable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the Bill and Ted one, but other than that, it was very predictable.
Frank, even?
Yeah, excellent.
Well,
excellent. Just be excellent to each other. Bill and Ted, the last of us, would be sick.
Yeah, he's done. He's done. Get him out of here.
Just like show up with a time traveling time.
Doesn't even know Frank, man.
Yo, damn it! You shouldn't kill the firefly.
I'm fired.
You're done, man. You're out.
I'm done.
We gotta get a new co-host.
Bye.
But
this episode is definitely giving me more credence to the fact that, okay, I'm going to let them tell their story. Because there's not everything I have felt so far has been like, oh yeah, that's paid off. And I think there's also still time to really screw up more things as well. But what they've done in this episode is like, okay, I see where they're going with this now. So I think by the end of this episode, by the end of this episode, I'm like, oh, okay, like let me trust their vision a little bit. Like I'll hold out,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is again why I kind of said before. Like I'm like I really wish I could have had this full season in one go so I could really sit with the entirety of it, because I feel like it is such a burden to have just week by week by week to sit with and be like, well, that change like is really important, but where they take it I think is good, like at the end. So I think
I'll go back and rewatch it all at once, kind of all the way through to see if
especially
there's
before
something that
season 3 hits.
out. So
definitely.
see if like something pops out or not, like because they did this because of this now, and you kind of start following
just digest it in bulk. Absolutely.
It kind of pauses my, like Ballistic was saying, it kind of pauses my brain a little bit from being like, well, that's not how that was done, and that's not going to pay off, because why would they do that? Like, or it lets me be a little bit less like analytical about it, and more like, okay, I'm gonna see where they're going with this, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm actually at the point now with the last episode of not comparing it strictly to the game anymore. I don't know if you guys noticed, people who've listened, I've been very this and this show and game. Well, this episode kind of showed me, don't do that. You don't know what the hell's going to happen.
I'm somebody who doesn't usually
massively, so but I'm such a game, like for the game, that it was really hard for me not to like, oh, this is when this is going to happen, this is when this is going to happen, and it almost started ruining the show to begin with for me. And they followed it to the T almost in the first season, which was great for me because I'm like, cool, it's all the game.
I think in the first season they did a lot to follow it while also making adaptations for the medium. The problem I had, because I'm somebody who's like, you don't need to follow it to the T. In fact, I might actually like to see it better done differently. Like say for instance in season 1 where they did Sam and Henry like quite a bit differently, and we got to see a little bit more of what they went through before we meet them. So like I like the expansion of things. What they've done so far, for the most part, has been just change. And it feels like when they just change it, it's changed for the sake of change, or it's changed for the sake of, oh, well, we're going to wink and nod to the game, right? And it just didn't feel earned. And it felt more like, hey, remember this Easter egg? It's the thing I hate about a lot of Star Wars media now, where it's just like, Luke Skywalker, look, we know him, where it's just like, rather than actually making a good story. Andor is the great example, where it's just like you're using that backdrop to make a really great story. So I'm getting to a point in this season where I'm like, okay, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, which halfway through we'll see. Oh.
Well, okay. We've reached the end. So, as always, any questions, comments that you want to touch on that you think we missed before we wrap this up?
No, nothing that I don't think we missed.
Okay. I think we were pretty thorough.
Very well. Good note taking.
Great note taking. Shout out Artie the Gamer.
Yes.
Go to twitch.tv/Artie the Gamer as well.
I got my notes less from the podcast, but I took notes on the podcast.
Also, algorithmically, I gotta say, like, comment, and subscribe on this if you enjoyed this. Because statistically, if you say it in a video, people actually do, even though it is kind of annoying. So like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Tell us what you thought of the episode. Tell us what you thought of our analysis.
Yes, of course.
Just give us a like. Come on. It's right there.
Come on.
Artie's got some great content planned.
I mean, who knows? We could do another show. It might stem more into from fucking Last of Us.
Don't tell them to go. Don't tell them to go. Stay.
Stay. Please watch it. Please. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I what I want to say about this episode is far and away the best episode to me.
I agree.
Of this season.
I agree.
For me, that doesn't make it like an amazing episode,
but higher than a C tier.
Yeah, higher than
Hell yeah. Okay,
I would
so
say,
let's get into that.
yeah.
Let's go rankings. Shotty, you went last time, so I'm gonna give Ballistic the first this time.
Ooh.
Because you've been kind of just observing for a minute there. Thoughts and feelings. What do you got? Where are you ranking this episode?
Oh. My highest so far, I would say about an 8.5.
8.5. Interesting. Okay.
8.5. Yeah. It's not.
Okay.
It didn't blow my mind. It did not blow my mind.
Okay.
But with this way the season's been progressing, it's been the best episode from a story standpoint. They went through a lot. They also showed you a lot. You met a lot of cool characters.
Absolutely.
You met Isaac. Great bring back from the game as the original voice actor for Isaac in the game.
Yeah.
I kind of like the way he looks better in this show than he did in the game. He looks a little bit more of a holy shit moment. He's a bad looking motherfucker, man.
Yeah.
So I thought that was awesome. Showing the crazy side of the Seraphites was brilliantly done because they brought in the very nice, peaceful Seraphites last episode. And they got killed for no reason. Then you go, and they're hanging people from these fucking ropes by their necks with their intestines spilled out. You're seeing the lines of everything. So very well done.
Yeah.
Well, and with the showing the brutality. Oh yeah.
Had my heart.
Yeah, I 100% agree. They did a great job with this.
Yes.
With
not blow out
absolutely.
episode, but 8.5.
Okay. All right, Shotty, you're up. What you thinking?
Also,
what you feeling?
I just wanted to say, like, seeing the brutality of the further brutality of the WLF, who we're ultimately going after,
I did
right?
mention that one. Mm-hmm.
Like we're further going after, like they don't really know about the Seraphites other than their interaction with they had right so far. So yeah, like that, knowing that that's like who we're up against, ostensibly, kind of leads more it to be more scary and more intimidating of a task.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This gets my first grade that is not a centrist grade. It is getting a high B tier. I still don't think it's quite A for me. I think they did a lot to make this feel better and back on the right track. But I'm not like, oh, I'm all in now. Like it's still not there, but I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt at this point. Yeah. So great episode. Okay. I think 8.5 is good. 8.85 is good.
This is gonna be the first time that I'm the highest score, I think, which is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
This is in my top 3 episodes of the entire series.
Really?
The entire series. Yeah, I really, really liked it.
Interesting.
I thought there was obviously big gay, I love that shit. I love the gay scenes, and there was a lot of like action and brutality, and there was a lot happening where I was like fully invested the entire episode. I was like, what do you mean there's only 10 minutes left? It's like, what? No. Like, there's so much we have to do still. I was entirely engrossed the entire time. I give it a 9.5.
Oh, my big gay is still Bill and Frank. My big gay is still Bill and Frank. I love that episode so much.
My Ellie Riley, Bill and Frank, and this episode, those are my top 3. In no specific order.
I think that for me, this has a chance to become like a very high episode.
Yeah.
For me, but I still want to ride it out. There's still a couple of things that I think are left to explore that,
Yeah, definitely.
Still.
Absolutely.
Thoughts on the pacing now of the series? I have no fucking idea.
The pacing of this episode is incredible. I'm talking
about like I think I'm way off by where I think we're going to be.
Oh, where we're gonna end
by the end of this season.
Yeah, because we're just gonna ignore tomorrow.
I think we might get a pretty abridged path to the WLF. I think we're gonna get a little bit of a time jumps, not like year jumps, but like a bit of time jumps of traveling.
Okay.
So I think there is still an ability to reach the place that you're thinking that we're gonna end up.
Okay.
Because again, like you don't have to do as much with the game, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go through and stealth and die a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
You're just telling
Couple
that
hundred
story,
times,
right?
yeah.
Think about the fact
Yeah.
that we kind of totally abridged Seattle in general.
Yeah.
We just showed up at the TV station, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
with
we're going
Seattle, that would have
fast.
been kind of pointless to show in the game or in the show.
Right. And there's a lot of
Because in
things.
the game, you go to the capital city. Oh, well, that didn't have that, so you go to the courthouse or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because you always would have to go through both of them. Doesn't
there's
matter.
a lot of things I think we can abridge. With
probably that, like a bridging over the town where you essentially get your bow.
Yeah.
That's probably something you just skip. That's not really that important.
Yeah. I could see this season finishing day 3.
Think so? Still day 3?
I think if we're doing
so.
the days, I think we're doing the days. Day 3, I think is.
Well, I mean, yeah, because like it was.
You can't just do day 1, day 2.
Tomorrow would be
All
day
right,
2.
see you next season.
Yeah, like it has to be day 3, and then.
Well, we kind of saw in the teaser trailer for next week's episode that they are at the aquarium or the museum.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is tomorrow going to be just a straight flashback episode?
That would be so.
Or next week?
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know.
So
hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this next episode goes.
I think it'll be interesting
definitely.
to have that be interlaced with what's going on and the revenge, getting us back in the revenge mindset. Because I feel like this did a lot to either scare us, scare the audience into what's happening.
Yeah.
Or like kind of get away from the revenge and focus on the love, because that's the two sides of Last of Us. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love and revenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah.
Well, if nobody has any other comments or things they'd like to add, I think we're about done here. All right.
Thank you for watching.
Yes.
If you got this far, thank you for watching. Holy hell.
Yes, of course. Ballistic and Shotty, thank you for being here. Literally could not do this without you. Forever and always. And of course, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Because, why would we do this without you? Listen to us yap for hours on end.
Thank you.
We have not had an episode this season less than an hour 20. So, thanks. Thanks.
We do it for you guys.
Yeah, we have a lot to say, and I think it's pretty interesting stuff. So, if you make it this far, it's really cool. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next week for coverage on episode 5. Bye!